All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Take two here of our fourth game of the day. BSMUP here on the green on the north spawn. This is the third seed from the China server. Bringing Montana, Kremlin, Double Des Moines, Nevsky, and Petro. That's a whole lot of radar. And we talked about it earlier, that Z52 pick, Shimakaze and a Ragnar. Now, STCN in the north-south spawn, we've seen these guys before, Painzor. What's their lineup look like?
They are going to be running a Montana, Kremlin, Des Moines, Napoli, Stalingrad, Gearing, Marceau, Delny, and a Yuyang. Everybody wants to know all about the Delny, so we're going to quickly fly in and take a look at what this Delny is going to be running. He's going to be running RPF, Fearless Brawler, Concealment Module, Engine Module, and also the Coal Boost in his. And he's also going to be running Ovechkin, the special commander that gives you improved survivability expert, just for that tiny little extra bit of tankiness. While we're at it, the Yuyang is indeed going to be, it's actually going to be a radar Yuyang as opposed to a smoke Yuyang. He's going to be running a relatively standard build with, RPF and general adrenaline rush, torpedo spec.
Now, I don't know what you guys have seen on EU up to this event, but we have seen a number of teams deploy Yu-Yang and get really, like Radar Yang, and get really good work out of that ship. Has that been something at kind of the last 2 days of the EU event or not?
So, generally, when we see Yu-Yang played, it's generally done as a smoke Yu-Yang. There's arguments about why would you bring... If you're going to bring a Radar Yu-Yang, why don't you just bring a Ragnar? And there is merit to that argument, but like a Radar Yu-Yang does have a couple of advantages, being able to bring its torpedoes and also being able to bring better concealment. So, if your radar is down, you can still go back out and spot. I'm just going to quickly double check. He's not running the unique upgrade on his Yu-Yang, so he's going to be running standard concealment builds, so he's not going to be giving up that extra concealment, so he will be able to contest with his spotting range if it gets to that.
We saw the Marceau there of ZK, trying to take a very aggressive line, almost headed towards the A-cap, but outspotted by both the Z52 and Blue Storm Shimakaze here. He's still spotted in here, and still no one is shooting at him. Like, he's well lit, and I guess he's just figured, well, to hell with it. What are they going to do about it?
Yeah, this is the thing.
He does finally catch wind of the Shimakaze there.
Yeah, honestly surprised. Shimakaze drops his smoke screen for
this
as well.
That smoke feels like a mistake. He was about to get island cover and does. So, didn't really need that smoke, I don't think.
Yeah, he's now caught in the Stalingrad's radar, so that was just a complete waste of a smoke screen, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and criticize players, but I think that might have been a slight mistake. No,
it does feel like a bit of an error there. Now, they have brought the Z52 directly into the C-cap. He kind of took a very odd line, right? He came around this island, through the gap, through this entrance on the west side, and now he's in here all by himself. No one to spot him, though. Like, they have no radar to spot him from here, especially now that the Stalingrad radar, that's Harry Wang back there, his radar is down.
He did lose about 5,000 health for that dive. I'm going to quickly go over the initial deployments since I didn't really get a chance to do this properly. So over to the... Well, have you got over the green side for the initial deployments?
Sure. So green for their home cap, going with Petro, Nevsky, and Shima. Nevsky and Shima are very common picks we see on this flank, and you're seeing something similar in a Gearing and a Des Moines there from the other opposing side. They've gone very heavy towards the middle of the board there. That's Nakano's Des Moines, the Z52 now that's just about done capping C, backed up at close range by a Kremlin. And then over on the eastern flank, kind of looking at Ragnar, Des Moines, and Montana.
Yeah, for the red team, though, it looks like they're going for a super heavy double home cap push. They have the Marceau, Gearing, Des Moines, Stalingrad, and Kremlin all committed over there. Gearing and Des Moines going to be a smoke pairing, so you'll drop the smoke stream with the Gearing. Des Moines goes in the back of it, and then you have this very painful thing for anybody who wander into. Stalingrad going to be there as a radar anchor. Marceau was there for the early spots. We did see him catch on with that Shimakaze quite early on as well. Over at C-cap, we have literally nothing apart from a kiting Montana. And then way out wide, we have this Yu-Yang and Napoli combination on the 10 line. Perhaps going to look for a push. They are only pushing into a single Montana at the moment, but there might be the Ragnar and Z52 rotation over onto them. And this Delny might be going for a contest on the D-cap. Not my first ship for a contesting destroyer choice.
No, he might be able to get away with it simply because the only radar nearby that I can see that's got a good shot at him is Nakano's Des Moines, which is down for nearly a minute. Popeye's radar there on the Ragnar off to the northeast could potentially try and sneak in there and pick him up, but not really in range right now.
I just wanted to... I got scared for a little second there because the Des Moines over on the 1-2 line got spotted on his approach, and I saw a Kremlin crossfire coming in. But it is Kremlin. It does have a quote-unquote poor long-range dispersion, and the Des Moines was watching and actively dodging it. So he doesn't take too much, but he did take a bit of Nevsky fire here. He's going to be able to advance up this island, and this is going to allow for another potential jump up. It's going to force the Shimakaze to stay out of the Des Moines' potential radar range. He did use his radar. I'm not sure if the Shimakaze knows this, though.
Now, one thing I like about BSMUP's strat so far. They went for the early C cap to start building a lead. One of the things about Sea of Fortune, and the analyst has touched on this, right, is that with the 4 caps on the board, each individual cap ticks up a little slower, every 9 seconds versus every 6. So the sooner you pick up caps, the sooner you start to build points. And we've seen matches over the course of the event where teams have been very slow to very cautious to try and contest C and D, and therefore the game does not progress very quickly. But BSMUP putting a bit of a timer on the game here, grabbing the C cap right away.
Yeah, my eyeballs are currently on what this Yu Yang wants to do here. He waited so long with the potential of like getting up this 10 line and getting some spotting for the Napoli. Now the Z52 is rotated back, and the Z52 is actually going to be laying a smoke screen for the Des Moines. It's not going to be the best smoke in the world though. German smoke screens, compared to smoke screens of other nations, are much shorter lasting. Not quite as short lasting as the British smokes, but German's just a little bit above that in terms of like how short the smoke screen is. So it's not going to be the best smoke cover in the world. I'm going to go back over at this Delny. He is going to be a heel Delny. I just wanted to point that out. Just in case anyone was wondering, is this going to be a smoke Delny? We're not going to get a smoke Delny.
Not really surprising. Not really surprising. And there we go. That's the Marceau of ZK ducking into the C cap. Can the Des Moines? Oh, he's got a beautiful spot right here on this extreme western edge. The Des Moines can't quite get shells on him. Oh, there he does.
Yeah.
Des Moines finds his spot to actually get a few shells for the reset and push him back off the cap.
Well, he burned the radar for about 1,000 health, and once this radar goes back down in about 25 seconds, he can recontest. Petropavlovsk has a salvo in at the Marceau, though this one might be slightly more painful. He is angled, so it means we could take up pens potentially. He seems to be getting away with it. It's not fun being shot at from both ends, but he's not really in any danger.
Not too awful bad. So 7 minutes in, and it's only a 100-point lead for BSMUP. It's certainly not an insurmountable problem that STCN is going to have to overcome, but they are going to have to do something here.
They're advancing the Stalingrad forward to cover this Marceau. I'm not sure what they're covering it from.
Katushi's going to have to thread the needle here. Yep, he's clear.
This Stalingrad position is going to allow crossfire onto anything kiting away from the A-cap, potentially giving broadside, like the Petropavlovsk and Nevsky. If he wants to try and make this jump past the Des Moines is what I'm going to be really interested in. I do see a bit of damage going back and forth right now. Montana on Ragnar and Kremlin action just south of the CD caps. The Montana is currently caught full broadside in front of the enemy fleet. Got a bit of a slap for it. Pops his heel, going to be limping away with that.
I really like this push that STCN is putting together up the 2 line, backed up by the Stalingrad position here along the 4 line. I think that's really well done. I'm not convinced it's going to get them what they want. They might be able to get into A, but I don't know. This is the first time I've seen a team take a battleship doing this, right? I've seen it done with some big cruisers. I think I've seen it done with a Napoli, and we actually saw a team do this with a Goliath. But I've not seen a team commit a battleship to this flank for this kind of push.
I mean, what's really stopping it right now? You have this gearing and Des Moines combination of zone away the Shimakaze, and then once you get it in there, it's going to be a kiting Nevsky and a kiting Petropavlovsk. It's a Kremlin. It's designed to soak this damage. And if they try to give some sort of angle to the Kremlin, if this Stalingrad manages to make this jump past the Des Moines, they're going to have all sorts of firepower, and they might even be able to rotate around the top and get above the C cap onto the back end of the Kremlin.
Well, the Marceau of ZK getting into C yet again as Alka's Delny tries to get onto D, but gets pushed off by Caesar's radar. That's a Des Moines off to his north. He's going to give up a notable chunk of his health for his lack of positioning right there. Yeah,
Marceau down to 7,500 health. Don't think he's going to want to recontest. But the Stalingrad did make the jump that I was talking about there. So now, Stalingrad gets on the side of the Petropavlovsk, and the option is there if he wants to go around the corner onto the back end of the Stalingrad, Ragnar, and Des Moines to try and make something potentially happen there in combination with the Montana they have positioned south of C.
I think they're going to have to make that play, Painsor, because if you look at, for starters, I think you got to keep pushing the Stalin north, and you got to try and, first starter, he coming around the corner, he'd have great shots on the Kremlin. They have no way to stop it in terms of torpedoes because Popeye's Ragnar is not going to slow him down. And then you leave Nakano pinched between either Stalingrad AP or Montana AP. Neither of those a comfortable position to be in if you're a Des Moines.
Yeah, it turns out that AP kind of hurts. Just a little bit.
At the moment, they're not making this play. They're just now touching Katushi's gearing onto the A cap. Radar going up from Liquid Snake's Nevsky there in the back, but it doesn't cover this portion of the cap, so they have to burn the Petro radar from Cherry Coco,
which is only going to last approximately 15 seconds.
Yeah, they're not going to get a ton of good salvos out of this. In fact, at the moment,
Shimakaze has the rest of these torpedoes here. Oh, he takes one on the bow. The Shimakaze going for the gearing has just eaten one of his torpedoes. That could be an issue for him.
So Katushi goes dark there. The more Petro shells coming in. He's going to take a little more chip damage. With no guaranteed spotting here, he could get back onto that cap whenever he's ready.
And now they have the Des Moines re-rotating back in. They might try something really bold with the Kremlin and the Des Moines as one big meat sandwich. Use the Kremlin as a protection for the Des Moines broadside armor. Push that forwards, catch the Shimakaze in the radar, and then disengage from that. You pop the gearings next smoke screen, but I think that's the only thing you can do with this Des Moines right now.
I feel like, I do feel like STCN needs to be making some kind of aggressive play here. I mean, they're down points. It just feels like they're gonna have to. The stationary, the push up the 2 line is kind of quit. The Stalingrad position is sort of petered out, although he is moving up now. Well, he moved up a little bit from where he was last time I checked. It just feels like they're too static in a game that they're losing by 200 points. They have time, but it's not infinite.
Well, there's 7 minutes left before they win on points. They need to step on at least one of these 2 caps to try and convert it. There is the option of decap, but that's a whole extra mess. There seems to be nobody wants to really play around the 910 light right now. So it's all going to be
Oh, the Shimakaze with a big torpedo kill.
Yeah, that was just next to that Kremlin that we were talking about before, and that's going to completely stall out this push.
Yeah, I mean, they've lost their radar now. Now they're down a ship. Now they're down 300 points, 8.5 minutes to play. And again, this is, I didn't say it, but like my kind of one of the frustrations I have with them sitting static this long, you're just giving the Shimakaze more opportunities and more chances to get lucky because he knows where you are, he knows where to shoot. And sure enough, he does.
Yeah, I think they needed to commit that Des Moines with that Kremlin forward. They needed to do some very aggressive plays, and I think as they were about to, the Kremlin kept reversing, and then the Des Moines like, wait, what we're doing?
Yeah.
And just ate those torpedoes.
Looks like they're going to take Vlad's Montana into the C cap now in the middle of the board. He's broadside to Caesar's Des Moines. He might get some damage. That shouldn't be crazy.
He can roll over the face of that Des Moines. Now nothing's going to stop him. The Dolphin Prince Kremlin is going to start accelerating now, but he's not going to get around the corner in time to do too much about it. That's a Kremlin running the damage control module, not running the propulsion module. Montana Salvo goes out, gets on half of the Des Moines. 3/4 of the Des Moines even.
Yeah, there's a whole lot less of that cruiser than there used to be because Vlad had to turn into the cap for a couple of reasons. One is he's taking shells from Icy's Montana over on the 10 line, and plus he wanted all of his guns for that shot on Nakano, and boy, was it worth it.
Marceau's going to be dropping defensive torps to screen his Montana against that Kremlin. The Montana is looking for the second salvo against the Des Moines.
Well, he's looking at it, but look at Dolphin coming around the corner. He's going to take 2 of these torps, trying to punish this Montana play.
Des Moines still on 12,000 health. He didn't get him with a second salvo. Is the Stalingrad going to have an angle onto this Kremlin as he comes around this corner?
Oh, man. A whole bunch of action here at the C cap. More torpedoes going in on Dolphins.
This is a bit of a mess.
Yeah, Vlad's going to have to make a very unpleasant course change in a minute because he's about to run out of room.
Stalingrad comes around the corner, has HE loaded for the Kremlin. That's not what I was expecting.
That's a bit of a mistake. I was Oh, the Montana stern turrets take the Kremlin out, and he clings to life on 2,700 HP before the Des Moines chimes in and picks him up.
And now we have the Des Moines full with the Stalingrad full broadside to him. That's no sitting else in that salvo. Round 2?
Definitely don't want to be that Stalingrad. Definitely got to move up there. And again, the lead remains over 300 points as STCN's looking for a way back in, but they've spent so long off of these caps, they don't have it right now. I got to say, I'm a little surprised they haven't tried to rotate the Yu Yang over to maybe double team this decap.
Honestly, I think they needed to push that Yu Yang up a long time ago with the Napoli. They were pushing into a destroyer, the ZV2, that they have a concealment advantage over. The Des Moines is currently being Omega cross-top, by the way. No,
yes, I've came over here to show this. Caesar, absolutely all the cross torps. I think he's going to take one of these deep waters. He's going to take 2 of these deep waters.
He's got no Hydra available. So
second one alone. The second one's going to take him out. That's a big kill. They needed that for sure. That opens up the decap. They should be able to pick it up now.
Napoli might be taking return torps from the Z52, though. He's currently got a tiny little gap. He just squeezes through it. So Napoli can go charging after that Montana. Something can happen there, but that leaves time for the Yu Yang and Delny. They can now rotate onto the decap, and they can rotate maybe the Marceau, potentially onto the C cap, and try and get something happening there. AB is completely out of it for them. But even if they manage to take D and C, I think there might be enough points on the clock already for a green win.
Ooh, 5 minutes to play, and it looks like Popeye may have bought off a little more than he can chew. He moved up to radar Alka's Delny in the bottom of the decap, and also found ZK's Marceau backing him up, losing a big chunk of his HP, getting some resets there. but I still think they're going to pick up this decap.
Long-range Montana salvo is going to be coming on the Delney as well. It's, didn't do much, but it came in.
No damage. Might have been a reset in there, but they definitely did not get any damage out of it. We're under 5 minutes to play. STCN still does not have 500 points to their name. They're over 250 points down in this game. They're going to have to make something happen if they want to pick up a win.
Yeah, they need to get this Yu Yang turned around. He needs to be bowing. He needs to be making some plays. He needs to be making some pushes. He is a radar Yu Yang. He can potentially go looking for that Z52 if he really wants to, with the Napoli and Delney Marceau in support of him. He can potentially go spotting that Ragnar. That's the only position they've got really made to play. Stalingrad has been forced out of the C cap. You don't want to be pushing your Kremlin gearing into this Petropavlovsk Nevsky Shimakaze combination. You might, if you feel really desperate at the end of the game, maybe look for the Shimakaze kill with your gearing, but that's not going to be your first course of action. It's all going to be about this C and D cap and how they can step on it. Yu Yang has turned around now. He's going to be pushing forward. Drops a load of torpedoes towards the Montana. Has a reload booster available. Might choose to throw them out afterwards. The Z52 is currently playing torpedo screening for Montana.
Both teams ticking up 2 cap, but the advantage remains with BSMUP because of their early aggression at the C cap. They've been ticking that cap up almost the entire game. They have a solid lead. And so, again, it's on STCN to try and get in here and do something. How many radars does Nakano have left? Nakano is actually out of radar here, and the Ragnar's down to his last one. So they have an opportunity to see, to maybe get into C. The question is, do they realize it?
One torpedo from the deep waters of the Yu Yang going to be landing on the Montana of Icy Shimmer over here, by the way. It's not going to be doing the end of the world. I just wanted to point that one out. Z52 going to be counter-torping the Napoli. But yeah, this is all about this CD, and they just haven't pushed onto it yet. It looks like they're playing now, but it might be too late.
They seem very, very... to me, it just feels like it's too timid, right? The A push didn't work. I liked it, but once they lost the Des Moines, they pulled everybody back. They're just bailing out. It's not going to work. So now you basically have to make C your play. So now you have to wonder how long before they actually do that, because time's ticking away. They're 2.5 minutes from losing this game, and they don't have a single ship going to the middle of the board. So it looks like they're going to bank everything on trying to catch out this F-52 and kill him.
Yeah, but they've already burned the radar.
Yeah, I saw the Yang radar go up a minute ago for no reason. In fact, it's 90 seconds away.
And now the Marceau is hard spotted. Can tell you exactly where the Z52 is. Z52 gets spotted. This is when you want that Yu Yang radar. You know exactly when it is. Z52 is going to drop a smoke screen. He has 3 of them available, and there is nothing to stop him doing that now. He goes dark. This is when the Yu Yang's radar.
Yet. He's dark. Yeah, he's dark. There's the smoke. He wants to make sure, I guess. There it was. The Marceau can absolutely run him down, so he's going to have to smoke to stay alive. This feels questionable. They feel like they've banked their whole game on picking up these 2 kills on the 9-10 line, but once they do, they're still not going to be able to get back in the middle of the board. They're still going to lose, I think, on time.
Unless they get the torpedoes on this Montana, even if they get the torpedoes on this Montana, which it doesn't look like they are about to.
Maybe one, maybe.
Well, Montana salvo comes out towards the Marceau.
No, nothing doing, and they can't lose a ship. That's another big key here. They cannot afford to lose a ship here.
924 points on the board. 1 torpedo is potential. Right, there we go. 1 torpedo lands. He was already damage controlling, though, so 23 seconds left on that. 15 seconds left on the heel. They can potentially burn it down, but that's not going to be enough. Look at the point differential. It's 300 points.
You're 60 seconds out here. If they pick up the Montana, that's a time extension. The Z doesn't have to get spotted. It looks like they're finally pulling people back towards the middle of the board. I think, no, the Yang is running north. Is this the Marceau? No, they're not. They're just. He's pointed that way, but he's not moving that way.
The Z52 is now up on the map border. Even if they got the Z52 kill on top of that, which they didn't quite get, they would still need something else on top.
Well, at this point, there's only 60 seconds left in the game, right? They're down to 1 minute on the game clock. It doesn't matter. They're going to lose in 40 seconds, but they're going to pick up this Montana kill, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, this one's just for, consolation prize.
So that's gonna buy them some time.
51 seconds left.
Even if they can pick up the Z52, they're not going to be able to flip the score, and they have no way to spot him. Yeah, he's out of the radar range. They banked everything on being able to bag both of these kills. They're only going to bag 1, and time's going to tick out, and they're going to end up on the wrong side of the score.
Yeah, this is twice now that Yu Yang hasn't managed to catch the Z52 in the radar, and I honestly, you just wanted to go full. You go full bow in. You're on full HP in that Yu Yang. You charge forward. You go hunting. This Yu Yang is running radio position fighter. He doesn't know where that Z52 is. He just couldn't get deep enough in it. He was obviously scared of taking a Montana salvo and then getting caught in the Z52's hydro smoke trap. But you have a radar. You outrange the Z52's hydro with your radar. You can just shoot him back in the smoke screen for free.
Time ticking away. We're down to the final seconds of the game as BSMUP, that early C cap, making all the difference. They're going to be able to claim a win here on Sea of Fortune.
Yeah, it was a very low kill game. It just seemed that they just didn't want to commit. For STCN, just didn't want to commit for these plays that they needed to make.
Yeah, that was definitely a game. I feel like I really liked the 2-3 line push. I felt like they made a great move to get up to that island over on the 2 line, and then they just stopped. And then once they lost to Des Moines, they were like, nah, we're done here with this. So then it took them it felt like forever to organize a bit of a push up the 9-10 line. And by the time it came, too far behind, too many points in arrears, and you just can't make up the difference.
Yeah, it sounds like here's the strategy, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to push up the 1 line. Your job over on the 9-10 line is sit there and don't die. The problem is they didn't readjust that strategy anywhere near quickly enough.
No, one of the keys of these teams, they're going to have to make adaptations on the fly, and STCN doesn't seem like that worked out for them in that particular game. Well, let's go back to the analyst desk and see what they think about this game.